are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 453, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay, and back from the dead is Marc.
Yes. So I've been in the hospital with pneumonia. Not doing so well. I'm obviously out of the hospital now, doing much better. But if you want to know why I was in the hospital with pneumonia, it's because KP got traded, and that did in my health. That's what it does. KP gets traded, and I'm on death's door, basically.
I mean, is it any more fitting that the one episode you couldn't do was like the most important episode of the season?
Holy crap. I was feeling like death, and I'm like, please, Jay, just do an episode without me. Thank you, KP, and the Knicks for sending me into the hospital. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you were not a fan of this trade.
I don't know. I've been going back and forth in this trade. I have some thoughts, actually. I wrote some thoughts for you.
Okay.
Because I was trying to think about, because really it's KP versus cap space, right?
Cap space.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do with the cap, but
Dennis Smith Jr. might be something.
Yeah, we could talk about him after, but I was just thinking generally it's KP versus cap space. What is better? So KP can protect the rim, but you know what cap space does? It never gets injured every goddamn season.
That is true.
KP can shoot the three, but you know what cap space does? It doesn't whine about the team going in the wrong direction. It has to be reassured every goddamn moment that everything's fine.
That is also a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So cap space doesn't need coddling. Cap space doesn't have his own coming back tour on Instagram and social media about how I'm getting back from my injury, and cap space. You don't say the wrong thing about cap space's rehab. That cap space is not running, and the cap space doesn't scream at you and go, "I am running. This is bullshit." So cap space doesn't do that. That makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Cap space doesn't think it's the greatest thing that ever happened to the NBA.
Without ever proving anything?
Without ever proving a goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cap space might actually figure out how not to get bullied in the post by a half as tall Marcus Smart. Cap space might figure out actually how to use its height advantage, as opposed to being he's 6'5" and you can't do anything about him. Cap space is KP, going back to KP. KP is a multi-generational talent, and cap space can turn into a multi-generational talent. KP is great and all, but cap space makes me dream, and I like to dream, and I don't like reality.
Does cap space have an annoying brother that gives him bad advice?
No brothers, no family members. Cap space has no family members.
Interesting.
There's nothing cap space doesn't complain because you're not playing Enes Kanter.
Cap space doesn't complain about the offense when you're not playing in the offense and won't for another 12 months.
Cap space understands how tanking works. It doesn't complain about it. So the KP, I never thought it would come to this. I'm mad at everyone. I'm mad at the Knicks for drafting KP and within 3.5 years completely screwing up the situation.
Well, on the plus side, Charlie Ward's streak still stands.
This is unbelievable. So Charlie, just tell everyone.
The Knicks have not signed one of their draft picks beyond their rookie contract since Charlie Ward in, I believe, 1994.
I mean, that is goddamn impossible. And Jay always brings that up. And I'm like, well, that streak is over. At the very least, because we have KP.
We said that a year or two ago. Finally, the Charlie Ward streak will come to an end.
And Jay, just we talk about Dustin. I'm like, well, Dustin be on the team. You're like, I don't know. The Knicks never re-signed their rookies. And I'm like, well, the Knicks are not going to, who the hell knows who will be on this team anymore? It is unbelievable how you screw this up. You're like, oh, We drafted the best Nick since Patrick Ewing. Let's see if we can get him out of here at record speed. I don't understand. And I understand from KP's standpoint, we had the Phil Jackson goddamn travesty. He should have him skipping that meeting with Phil Jackson was ridiculous also, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you look from KP's standpoint, how the Knicks have treated players, you're like Carmelo Anthony, the Knicks kind of treated poorly at the end. Joakim Noah, whatever you want to say about him, the Knicks gave him a lot of money and hated him so goddamn fast. And I don't think, while we all think Enes Kanter sucks, I think KP thinks he's kind of good. And I think KP thought, like, I do really think that actually mattered to him. I think he saw how the Knicks were treating Kanter and was like, this is not changing. They treat all their players terribly. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Yeah, that could definitely be part of it because it was just a revolving door of players. And we said at the beginning of every season, hey, welcome to this season. There's 8 new players, and that's got to be frustrating every year too.
I mean, it's all these players that we've thought enough to pay like $18+ million, and the fans it's become a disaster with every one of these players.
Yeah,
that's got to look poorly. On the other hand, goddamn, he is such a goddamn prima donna for a guy who's done almost nothing in the NBA.
That is true. He has played 0 full seasons out of 4.
I know he had that amazing start to the season. Before he was injured, that start to the season had trailed off. Teams were figuring him out. They were putting 6-7 guys on him and keeping him out of his position, out of his post-up position. He was definitely not playing nearly as well when he went down.
Okay, so how do you feel about Dennis Smith Jr. so far?
Could he be the best player on the team already?
He is.
I mean,
who's better?
I don't. There's no one better. Well, Timmy, by the way, I for so long I was on the Timmy like he's good, he's better than you think, Jay. I am so happy Timmy's gone.
Thank you.
I just want to get that out of the way.
Do you know that since he left, the Knicks have not won, but they have been competitive?
Yeah, no, they've looked pretty good. I've been even though I've been sick, I've been able to watch the games. Smith looks pretty darn good. I have to say, I was completely wrong about him, and we hadn't really been watching him. We just heard negative things from Dallas. But I think part of the thing with Dallas is they drafted Doncic. Doncic is so good, you had to turn the offense over to Doncic, which kind of hurts Dennis Smith's development.
I had missed a couple games because of work. What did you think of his defense?
I don't think it's that bad. And actually, when I've been hearing interviews with scouts, and they're all saying he's a solid defender. They say the whole defensive thing is overrated. They say he has the talent to be a really good one-on-one defender, and he's not bad. He's not. I don't think he's that negative of a defender. And all the stats from Dallas were like what they were saying he was a bad defender. It was like Dallas would give up 111 points when he was on the court and 110 when he was off the court. It was pretty much the exact same amount of points.
So he's averaging 6.5 assists a game, which would be more than any Knicks point guard in a decade.
I mean, you watch Ntilikina, and Ntilikina looks so far behind where Dennis Smith is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Smith, his defense isn't as good, but I think Ntilikina's defense might be a little bit overrated.
It's a little overrated. At times it looks good, but it's definitely a little overrated. And wherever he is on defense, and Dennis Smith's not as good a defender, Dennis Smith is light years ahead of him on offense. He just looks like an actual point guard. I mean, I'm not saying he's like the answer, but he looks like a legitimate point guard.
Well, I mean, against Detroit, where he had a career-high 31 points, he also had 8 assists.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was just being a ball hog. He got to the line 19 times.
Have you been able to have you watched a little of him so far?
I've watched a little of him, yeah, and
his passing just looks a lot crisper than Ntilikina. And first of all, Moutier does not need to come back. You're done, Moutier. We're done with you, Moutier. Dennis Smith's passing looks easy. He sets guys up. I mean, he has some turnovers. He still has a ways to go as a player, but he's kind of like, if we had drafted him and this is his second year, we'd be very happy where he is.
Yeah, he needs to work on his shot big time.
He needs to. Is it? I don't understand. Are people guarding him at the free throw line?
I know, right?
He has been so bad at the free throw line. I don't understand. I mean,
He's
obviously that's
shooting.
something you can get better at.
He's shooting
But
58% as a Knick, and
I,
he's
in the Detroit game, I think he was like maybe 10 for 11, then missed 8 straight shots from the free throw line. Like
yeah,
that, his Detroit line would look so much better if he could hit a free throw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has been. I'm happy with. I mean, as far as returns, like I don't know what else the Knicks could have done with KP as far as trades, because it was a hard trade to make because the guy's injured. So you have to have a team that's forward thinking for next year and is not thinking about this year, so you can't get as much.
Well, it was also that the Knicks did not want to take on a lot of salary for next year. So all we have is Dennis Smith Jr. Wes Matthews has already been bought out. DeAndre Jordan's an expiring.
Yeah,
So
I think they
that's-
might bring back DeAndre Jordan, but
it depends what Jordan wants. We're not giving him $20 million like he's making now.
well, he'll get a 1-year deal from the offer from the Knicks. I think it just depends on, like, if KD comes here. Apparently, he's like KD's best friend, and if he, like, I can see him signing a 1-year deal at a low price to be here if KD's here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how low. The Knicks now have $74 million in cap space. So if Katie wants 35 and another guy wants about 30, that only leaves 9 for DeAndre.
Well, I remember you saying right after the Knicks signed Timmy Hardaway, you were like, the first show, your reaction was like, the Knicks just have to stop making these stupid signings. Why do they keep making these stupid signings? Which at the time I was like, I thought you were being a little pessimistic. But I mean, obviously you were right. But I think what the Knicks have to do is, if you don't get KD, I guess you don't get Kyrie, you don't get your first 2 or 3 choices, sign no one to a more than the 1-year contract.
Right.
Like it's they just every year go for the free agents. Don't sign anyone who's below your like top level to a multi-year deal.
Yeah, if you don't get the guy you want, then treat that cap space like Caldwell Pope.
Yeah, exactly. Give like DeAndre Jordan can have a $20 million 1-year deal. Whoever wants a 1-year deal can come here. That's fine. But no more than 1-year deals unless your name is like KD or Kawhi or I guess Kyrie.
Whatever.
We're going to debate on the Knicks. The NBA has to give the Knicks Zion Williams, right?
They have to. If the Knicks go through all of this and don't get, if not, I mean, Zion had this ridiculous block. The guy was getting ready for a shot at the baseline today.
Yeah.
And Zion was under the basket, and he somehow blocked the 3-point attempt.
By the way, how good is that team? Because they have 3 of the top 5 guys people are talking about are on that team. It's Zion, Barrett, and Redding. Cam Redding?
Reddish,
whatever. Those are 3 of the top 5 guys. Is that team like running away with the?
They're the number 2 seed right now in college.
Okay. You would think they'd be number 1 with that much talent.
You'd think.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
I heard Barrett hasn't exactly been impressing people very much lately.
Okay, well, Knicks have to hold on to this number 1 seed so we can get top 5. They have to get Zion.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, the top 3 have the same percentage. But if you fall to 2 or 3, then that means you can get the 6th or 7th draft pick. Whereas if you're the worst, you can only fall to 5th. So there is a difference, even if you have the same chance for number 1.
By the way, so who is I had a couple points I think I wanted to hit. Who is a better Knick, KP or Melo?
I would say Melo.
Yeah, I don't think it's even close. And the whole thing about at least Melo actually wanted to be here, which I like now holds some credibility with like guys like KP wanting to leave.
Well, I mean, Melo wanted to be here. He didn't. It's not like, all right, we didn't like his defense. He didn't really try on defense, but he never really did. So it's not like he was just dogging it for the Knicks. He got the Knicks to the playoffs 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times more than KP, right?
Yeah, they lost to Miami the first round, Boston first round, and the second round to Indiana. So yeah, I mean KP. It's amazing for a guy. He really hasn't done that much. Like KP, where do you think he is ceiling wise? Like top 25, top 20, top 15?
I think he could be top 15 ceiling wise. I don't think he ever gets there.
I question his health.
Yes.
I do think the Knicks front office was really worried about his health, which I think is understandable.
I agree. I mean, he's 0 for 4 for seasons. It's
not a good percentage.
No, it's not. And it's not like, oh, he kept rolling his ankle like Curry, or he had some shoulder pain. It's like he tore his Achilles. Like, it's not, I mean, his ACL. It's like, that's not a good injury. That's not.
Yeah. And Sky's at 7'3", like, not a great history of guys coming back at that like height.
No. That being said, DeMarcus Cousins looks amazing.
Yes.
Which means Golden State is unstoppable if Cousins like comes back looking like Cousins.
Do you think the Knicks are going to be like sign Cousins?
I mean, I think they'll try.
I mean, do you hate it or do you like it? The Knicks sign Cousins.
I want to see what the rest of the season looks like. I mean, we only have like a 2-week sample size right now.
Right. But assuming he's back to form, wouldn't be the worst signing.
It wouldn't be.
If they paired it, like it has to be a pairing, not just Cousins. Like if you got Cousins and Kyrie or Cousins and KD, I wouldn't hate that.
Right. Just take Cousins, Klay Thompson, and KD. Just steal the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. Do you? And by the way, on the Dallas side, you like this trade for them?
Yeah, it's a gamble, but if you're good, the 2 draft picks aren't going to be very good.
You know, I have a friend who's a Dallas fan, and immediately I congratulated him on getting KP, and he was like, Dennis Smith looks pretty good. Like it's a pretty big gamble.
Yeah, that's the thing. Dennis Smith could end up being very good. KP could end up getting really injured. The draft picks could go either way. If KP gets really injured, you have Doncic and nobody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole trade is a gamble, and we're not going to be able to pick a winner for this trade for at least a year.
You want to talk about the games real quick?
Yeah, we'll do that real quick, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll go over all the trade deadline moves.
Okay.
So let's just go over the last, 4, because that's when...
Yeah, I only have up... Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Okay. You said a break. I didn't... Commercial, obviously. We had the 2 Pistons games and the Raptors, right?
Yeah, and the Grizzlies was the first Dennis Smith Jr. game.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, well, one thing I have to say is, besides Dennis Smith, I have liked what I've seen from Kadeem Allen.
Yeah, he's been inconsistent, but he's shown flashes. And he's done more than a guy out of the D League than you'd expect.
I'm bench piece, obviously, but like he looks solid. I'm kind of impressed with him. Why can't Ntilikina be healthy? Just on that side, like this is the perfect time for Ntilikina to be healthy. You have plenty of time to play. Yeah,
with Moutier out, it's like, okay, Frank, this is your chance, and now he's not playing.
I'm assuming Moutier's done. Like the Knicks, there's 0 chance they're resigning him now. They have Dennis Smith. Would you agree?
Never say never when it comes to the Knicks.
Moutier got a max deal because the Knicks are morons. Okay, so Grizzlies game. What do you want to talk? They don't have Marc Gasol anymore.
No, so I mean, this was Marc Gasol destroyed the Knicks. He's not on the team anymore. We'll get to that later. I don't have much to say about this game. They lost to a pretty poor Grizzlies team.
I mean, the Knicks lose to every game. Are they going to win another game?
I was actually looking up the longest losing streak in the history of the NBA earlier.
Yeah.
Just in case. The Knicks still have a ways to go. So
what's the longest streak?
26. So
we have
the Knicks
15 now?
16.
16. I'm looking at the schedule. When is the next victory?
Well, the next game is at Cleveland tomorrow.
Oh, that's a fight for. The trouble is, I don't know if Cleveland's going to win another game this season.
I know. Somebody's got to.
Knicks are probably going to win the game, though. I don't know how they're going to lose. They got Cleveland, then you got Philly, which is a loss. But then Atlanta, they could beat Atlanta.
And then there's another Cleveland game, and then to tie the longest losing streak ever, they would have to also lose to Phoenix. So it looks like they're going to get a win in the next 10.
Yeah, they got to end up with the number one. This team.
That being said, the Knicks might end up with about 13 wins for the season.
Yeah, I mean, like against the Raptors. Let's talk about the Raptor game real quickly. The Knicks actually looked pretty, and this is also Dennis Smith was very inconsistent in this game. But they looked pretty good. Like this was Knox played 40 minutes. God damn it.
Yeah, they're playing Knox a lot of minutes.
What do you think of Knox lately? Knox is like, I was really excited, and now I'm just like hoping he ends up good. He's not the best passer. He's lacking a lot.
Yeah, he has this game that'll get you really excited, and then he'll have a game like he did against the Pistons where he goes for 7-2-2 on 25% shooting. And you're like, yeah, maybe we just drafted another rotation guy.
Yeah, it's so hard to say with Knox. Like sometimes he looks, like his shot from three sometimes looks really good. Sometimes he looks good driving to the basket, and sometimes he looks completely lost.
Yeah,
sometimes he just disappears from a game. I don't see from him like the team ball. Like he gets the ball, he tries to do something with it, but he's not.
He's kind of a black hole. Yeah.
Yeah, you give him the ball, like that's just whatever's going to happen is going to happen when you give him the ball. He's terrible at recognizing like double teams. All these things will get better. He's 19 years old, but obviously, I was hoping he'd be like this. I was hoping he'd be better right from the start.
My theory of the Knicks having an entire team of bench players is becoming more and more true.
Yes. Though Mitch Robinson's looking great lately. He's not playing a ton of minutes, but he's looking his fouls are down, and he keeps looking better and better.
Yeah, against the Raptors, he had, I believe, a career high 15 points.
Yeah,
and against Detroit,
he had a bunch of blocks. He's been doing a really good job of kind of not trying to force things on defense, so not getting as many fouls. I love was it the Detroit game where he had all the alley-oops?
Yeah.
Until Detroit was like, okay, we're going to guard this now. And the Knicks then didn't get another one the rest of the game.
Yeah, that was his then career high 13.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to take a quick break?
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and then we'll go over the trade deadline moves.
Dustin just messaged. Do you want to tell him to call in now?
We don't need to record this part.
I understand that.
All right, we are back, and we are now joined by Dustin, who's going to help us out with all the trade deadline moves. There was a lot going on, so thanks for joining us again, Dustin.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Dustin. So I have a couple questions, actually, because I've been sick. And so there's some trades that didn't get made, but I thought they should have been, and I was wondering if you could comment on them.
Lord, here we go.
I was wondering why Golden State didn't trade Steph Curry to clear cap space.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Golden State, they're on their own thing. These guys think they have a dynasty going on. So
okay,
that's the only logic I can make.
Why didn't the Rockets trade Harden to clear cap space?
I guess James Harden's running for mayor next year down in Houston. I think that's kind of the deal they're going with to try to keep him around.
I thought you're supposed
These are all rumors. These are all rumors.
I thought you're supposed to take your best player and trade them for cap space. I thought that's like the goal. Is that not?
At the same time, I can't speak for Steph and James Harden, but they haven't been hurt, all 4 years that they started out in the league, and they actually are playing for their team. So
them not being hurt and like with the numbers, like Steph Curry's been playing amazing, and Harden, like you could clear a lot of cap space with those players.
Oh yeah, you can clear a lot of cap space, but at the same time, you're not going to get a lot back for them.
Do you think if the Knicks don't get Zion, like if they get Barrett, he'll be good enough to clear cap space in a couple of years?
Probably.
Every 3 years, we could just bottom out and then clear out cap space.
Yeah, that's right. Give him a huge contract and then just get rid of him.
Yeah, just wondering. I just wanted to make sure we're well positioned to clear cap space in the future.
Again, like I said, I don't know what the Knicks are doing. These guys so far haven't really steered us too far wrong, I don't think. But I guess we'll find out this offseason and next offseason if this was a great move or not. I mean, like I said in the last podcast, if KP's an all-star 3 out of the next 5 years he actually plays, I would consider this kind of a wash if we don't get at least one of the big names coming to town.
Yeah. Is this like the Philly had the process, and for the Knicks, is this like it's the same thing, like just like the process, except we think of most of our ideas 3 days into a meth bender.
Yeah, I agree. I guess, I mean, depending on how much you actually liked KP and depending on how much you thought he was really the unicorn, you know, it hurts everybody differently.
Well, no,
I came from a point where it was just I'm not really going to miss KP because he didn't really play the last 3 years. He kept getting hurt.
Then the Knicks have the process. It's just the Nerlens Noel, Michael Carter Williams, Markelle Fultz portion of the process.
Which, by the way, let's just get right into it if you got any more questions, because this Markelle Fultz trade, if you're an Orlando Magic fan, you should be way more pissed off than the Knicks fans are.
Wait, also my son now, he had a KP jersey. He's like, I'm not going to wear this anymore. Can I throw it away? I'm like, just hang it in your closet. I just don't want to throw it away.
At least he didn't want to burn it.
Oh my God. And like, I had to like, he's like, Dad, who are we going to get? We're going to get Kevin Durant, son. It's going to happen. Yeah, we're getting Kevin Durant. We're getting Zion Williams. Michael Jordan's going to play for us also.
We're going to go back in time and get the 28-year-old Michael Jordan.
Yeah. So it's going to be Drazen Petrovic, who died for the Nets. He's going to play for us. It's all going to work out.
You know, I sent Jay a message earlier today, and I was like, I got a really hot fire take for free agency podcast. You guys can just read off whenever you're ready for that one, because it's going to really aggravate people, and they're never going to want to hear my voice or hear anything about me again.
Well, good thing we have 3 months to talk about free agency and draft. Nothing else to talk about. Let's talk about the trade. It's trade deadline. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm just going to – the one I think is – the trade itself is meaningless, other than the fact I feel like it's what Miami did to LeBron when he went down there, and it was the Lakers are backing Luke Walton over the veterans. And before the trade deadline, there was a big blow-up between Michael Beasley and some of the other veterans and Luke Walton. And the Lakers sent Michael Beasley and Zubac up to the Clippers for Mike Muscala, who the Clippers got in the Philly trade, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Is that really backing the veterans? I'm sorry.
I think it is.
No, I'm saying is this backing the players over the coach over the veterans? You're just saying, hey, guys that suck don't get to speak.
I understand that, but I mean, I think LeBron James holds enough weight where he's like, I don't want to go up to the management and do this and make it look like it's bad on my part. Why don't you go for me? And that way, if they just get ready to get rid of you, I know they're not going to get rid of me. But I think LeBron's still trying to pull strings behind the curtain, and it's kind of what he was doing down in Miami. It's what he did in Cleveland forever. And then when he got down in Miami, I think Pat Riley was like, that's your coach. I'm in charge. Go down and be quiet and do what you're told. And I think this is Magic and them telling him the same thing.
Do you really think it's behind the curtains anymore? I feel like LeBron's just like, here's what I think. I'm in charge, guys.
The fact that nobody on ESPN or NBA.com or anybody else is talking about the fact that this trade does this, I think does. Because you don't hear LeBron James saying anything. And you know LeBron James isn't going to let the veterans speak up to a coach without him having some kind of approval.
Okay, fair point. Jay, what do you have to say about this trade?
Well, I think what happened is in the Philly trade, the Clippers got Muscala and realized he wasn't bad enough because they went into full tank mode. And they said, who's worse than Muscala? Where are they now? Michael Beasley.
Yeah. And apparently he's not playing because he just got cut by the Clippers as well.
You mean Clippers, not Philly?
Clippers.
Yeah. The Clippers.
Yeah, Clippers got Muscala from Philly and then said...
Right. So we talk about the Tobias Harris trade?
Yeah, let's do that.
So Tobias Harris was sent from the Clippers along with Boban Marjanovic and Mike Shamet?
No, Mike Scott.
By the way,
Shamet went from Philly to
okay.
Clippers.
But I've never heard anyone actually use Boban's last name, so thank you.
that's that darn Jump TV, that the Jump from ESPN, the Ocho got me going.
So I feel like this trade, Philly now has a big four, I guess big five if you count Redick. It's interesting. Jay, you think if this gets them to the finals?
I think they have a good shot. I think they have arguably the best starting five in the East now.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have much of a bench, but like in the playoffs, you're going like 35, 40 minutes for most of your guys anyway.
Right. And their bench it's not good, but they still have a couple pieces there. The odd part is trading 4 draft picks for a guy who's a free agent in 3 months.
Right.
I
mean, the Knicks got 2 draft picks for KP, but like they didn't get this haul.
No, this was a really nice haul.
I mean, not only is it a nice haul, it also frees up enough for one max contract for Philly in the offseason.
You don't mean Philly, you mean Clippers.
No, I mean Philly. Like Philly only has $67 million under the salary next year.
Right, but they're going to have to re-sign Butler and Harris.
Yeah, I assume that's their move. That's the report is that they're going in on all these four, or at the very least, they're going to go on Harris and not get and let Butler go.
I would probably do that, to be honest.
I think Butler has a player option.
No, but
so
I'm pretty sure Butler's
let me look it up right quick.
Yeah.
Do you think Butler gets a max anywhere? Because I feel like Butler, everyone just looks at Butler going like, I don't know if Cancer's really good to add to our team.
Yeah, I wouldn't give Butler a max for more than like 2 years.
Yeah, like I feel like with Butler, you're like, we're going short term on you for now on. You're a little bit damaged at this point, even though you're a very good player still.
Anyway, this isn't a bad deal from the Clippers because they weren't going to re-sign Harris. They now have room for a max free agent, and there's links to Kawhi there. They make their team much worse, and they lose their draft pick if they make the playoffs. So essentially, they're tanking to keep their draft pick and free up free space, and they got 4 draft picks on top of that. And Shamit's not a bad player, so this is a pretty sneaky good move for the Clippers. They're punting on a playoffs this year, but they're going to get swept by the Warriors. So
yeah, you're not going anywhere, so you might as well you're better off punting and having a better future.
Yeah, they were kind of like, what's the point of getting swept by the Warriors when we can keep our draft pick and make ourselves better?
Yeah. And Jimmy Butler does have a player option for $20 million.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's 19.8 really, so $20 million pretty much.
That
still gives them enough room for one max free contract.
I mean, if you're Philly, last summer you had all this cap space and no one wanted to sign there. I think if Philly, you're like, no one's signing here, so this is the best we're going to do.
Well, and you're thinking we're on the cusp this season. Let's just go all in and see if we can do this because this definitely puts them into conversation to make the finals.
Right. And even though you have like Embiid you have Simmons, they're both very young. Like shit falls apart so goddamn fast in the NBA. You might as well go for it now. Your window is now. Don't go like, hey, we have plenty of years to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Through all this, I forgot about the Jimmy Butler trade. To be honest with you.
Yeah, the only thing that worries.
I forgot about that.
The only thing that would worry me from the Philly standpoint is you have 4 players that want to get the ball all the time now.
Yeah, so all 4 of them we're gonna have 4 balls in the court. It'll be better. It'll be fine. Well, I mean, Embiid can play off the ball. Harris kind of.
I don't think Embiid plays off the ball. He likes being fed in the post constantly.
Continuously, yeah.
He has one of the highest usage rates in the NBA.
I just meant he doesn't have to he's not the primary ball hand.
So who's going to call him up? Me or you? Are you going to tell him? Hey, Embiid, you're going to play off the ball now.
Well, I just mean like Simmons usually is the ball handler in that offense. So Butler wants to be the ball handler.
Feeds Embiid.
I don't know. I guess the theory of like, hey, we have kind of an all-star team here. Let's just see how it goes.
Well, but at the same time, if you're a Philly, it's a great spot to be in. You re-sign. Let's say Jimmy Butler does pick up his option. It's the final year of his deal anyway, and then you re-sign Tobias Harris. You can still ship off Jimmy Butler and get something back, and then you got a bunch of young guys to have a core around them for 4 years.
That is
true. You re-sign Ben Simmons, and then you have pretty much a plethora of guys that are B players and C players come in and just play their role off the bench.
And with that many good guys, you could stagger and always have either an all-star or borderline all-star on the court at all times, which is a nice thing to have.
And you can't forget Redick. Redick is actually still goddamn good. Like I wish Knicks had a Redick on their team.
He's gone after this year though. Now they have no money for Redick.
They'll be completely capped out.
Yeah,
unless they go on the luxury tax, which I don't know if Philly wants to do.
But that luxury tax is going to be insane with all those guys. And then the year after, Simmons needs to get paid. So
if you're
the same thing OKC has.
If you're a Philly fan, you went through the process for 800 years. Are you happy with where you are now?
Yeah. You have a chance to make the finals right now.
Yeah, I agree.
This year and next year, depending on where Kawhi and KD go.
Yeah.
Next trade.
The next trade I have up here would be Washington opening up cap room. Washington sends Otto Porter to Chicago and takes back Jabari Parker, Bobby Portis, a 2023 second-round draft pick that is protected. Parker does have a $20 million team option, but declining the option give Washington enough for one max contract. And with KD being from the Maryland, D.C. area, people, of course, would think he's going home.
Yeah, so there's no chance that KD is like, oh, I'm going to play next to a half-broken John Wall for the next couple of years. Jay has a good friend who's a big Wizards fan who's going to come on the show and go on about how horrible the Wizards have been. This is just more of the same, right?
I'm pretty shocked that was the best haul they could get for Porter. I know Porter was having a very off year, but this is not a very good haul at all.
They're going to have to trade Bradley Beal.
They went from Porter's untradeable to, I guess we'll take Parker and Portis.
Here's a question for you. Would you trade Bradley Beal to the Lakers for like the haul they're offering for Anthony Davis? Like, because Beal is obviously still a very good player. He'd be an excellent compliment for the Lakers for LeBron. They'd probably trade a bunch of their young guys. Like, you probably can get
I don't think you'd get the Davis package.
It might not be the same as the Davis package, but it should be not that far off. Would you do it if you're Washington?
If I can get
Ingram, Ball,
Kuzma, and a first?
Yeah.
Because Beal's going to ask for a trade.
Yeah.
And if you're the Lakers, would you do that?
Of course.
Yeah, because Beal would be a much better player than the Lakers. It looks like the Lakers are going to get. I think they're putting all their eggs in the Anthony Davis basket, and I don't think they're going to get him.
They're not getting him. Kawhi, I mean, there's a chance to get Kawhi, but Kawhi also might just stay in Toronto because Toronto's pretty good.
There's rumors that he's leaning towards the Clippers instead.
Oh.
So
well, he bought a house in LA or somewhere between LA and San Diego that's like a giant mansion.
Right. Wouldn't it be nice if things didn't work out for the Lakers for once ever? I'm
you know what's going to happen? Kawhi's going to go to sign there, and the NBA is going to be like, we're tearing that up. You're going to the Clippers instead.
Let's not forget, though, Kawhi Leonard has a $21 million player option.
Oh. I mean, could happen.
I'm not going to just sneeze at $21 million to walk away and go sign with the Clippers. I mean, $21 million if he got hurt. I mean, the best person we've been talking about so far is John Wall, who has $40 million coming over the next couple of years, and the guy can't stay healthy. So he's going to get paid to sit down and not play.
Right.
Well,
but
John Wall has $40 million per year. Just
that's what I'm saying. Like $40 million over the next couple of years, like $40 million per year.
No, if I'm Kawhi, I turn down that player option and I take a long-term contract.
By the way, KP, the Knicks were like, we'll give you $150 million. And KP's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. But by the way, the whole thing of like the truth will come out. Is he a teeny bopper? What the hell?
Yeah, how about just say what the truth is?
Just say it. If you have some issues, just say it. Don't post them like goddamn like let's see if you can figure out my clues.
Yeah.
What I don't like is the fact that if he was gonna play and that's the truth, he wanted to play and the Knicks said no. And now he's not going to play, and he's in Dallas. It's like, what truth is there to come out? You weren't ready to come back, or what? Like,
clearly, he was not ready to come back because he also Dallas would play him. So
yeah,
if I'm the Lakers, I would do the Bradley Beal. Let's go to the next. Let's go. Oh, Anthony Davis. By the way, just talking about teams like treating players poorly. You heard the comments that Anthony Davis' dad made about the Celtics.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's like, he's like, I'm just speaking for myself, but I would never want my son to play for a team that treated Isaiah Thomas that poorly.
Right, but Garnett said he'd never play for the Celtics either, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, Garnett was playing in Minnesota, so he was playing in the cold part of hell. So.
Yeah, well, is that any worse than New Orleans? That's a really bad place to be playing.
I mean, it's that. By the way, New Orleans is not that bad of a team.
But New Orleans, the city, cannot come out for anything.
No, they can't. Well, they come out
ownership group.
They come out for Saints games. But as far as don't act like he didn't have any talent around him. He had Drew Holiday. They had brought in Boogie Les. What?
Who?
Drew Holiday.
Who?
Okay, fine.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying he's a solid player. They had Miritic. They had a decent team. Why? If Anthony Davis is so good, why can't he get that goddamn team in the playoffs?
It's a little interesting that they were that bad and he's supposed to be that good.
I don't know. James Harden is carrying it without Chris Paul. He's been carrying this team to a great record. If you're a good player, you should be able to carry a team.
Yeah, Garnett dragged way worse teams into the playoffs.
Yeah. Next trade.
The next trade I have is the Orlando Magic the fans of the Magic should be way more mad than the Knicks are about the KP trade.
Why?
The Orlando Magic sent Jonathan Simmons, OKC's 2020 first-round pick, which is protected between the first and 20th picks, and then the more favorable second-round pick in 2020 between the Nets and the Knicks to Philly, and Orlando gets back Markel Fultz. This kid has played, 30 games in 2 years. Still can't figure out how to shoot the ball. And you're giving up what I think is a lot for a guy that doesn't play, period.
Well, I like this trade. Jay, do you like this trade or hate this trade?
I kind of like this trade. Philly needs players now. So you get Simmons who can play right now. Fultz, this could 2 years from now, this could look stupid. But it's from Philly's point of view, they're like, well, we got our squad this season. We need a player to play right now. Fultz isn't going to play this season.
That makes sense. I totally understand from Philly's perspective. But I think for Orlando, this is a swing in for the fences you take. The guy was the number one pick in the draft. Everyone going into the draft thought he had insane talent. I don't know the whole change your shot. It's just amazing how much he's fallen off.
Well, they said he changed his shot because he was having those shoulder problems, and he had to.
You have to. Maybe they'll get better. As far as the worst number one draft picks in the history of the NBA, Fultz is getting up there.
Yeah, but
this is worse than an Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett, you were like, why'd you take him? He's an immediate bust. Fultz, you thought was going to be a premier player.
But the thing is, if he did have that misdiagnosed elbow thing, and now it's diagnosed correctly, in theory, he could get healthy and then be totally fine next year.
Yeah, if he gets healthy, then he could actually be a really, really good player.
He's out for the season with a shoulder injury. So is it an elbow or is it a shoulder?
His shoulder was the thing I think that was been bothering him the whole time that he was misdiagnosed for.
Okay, because you said elbow, so I'm just trying to understand what it is he's actually.
I think
he's got the yips. He's officially got the yips, and that's what it is.
I've heard that rumor too.
Yeah, in 2 years he's played 33 games and he's had 7 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists.
This is what happened.
Come on.
The Knicks will draft Zion Williams, and Zion Williams will be like, "Hey, you know what? In the offseason, I decided to change my dunk," and then he'll be done for the career. Next trade.
The next trade I have is, I think, pretty big for Toronto. Toronto's making a big push, and they get Marc Gasol from the Raptors, who has a player option for $25.6 million for next year. But the Raptors give up Valanciunas, Wright, and Miles, plus a 2024 second-round pick unprotected.
I like the trade for both sides. They gave up a lot to get Gasol, but you're a win now. You're in win now. Go for it. This is a huge upgrade for your team.
Basically, everybody in the East says our time is right now. LeBron's gone. We're going to do this.
Right.
And they're all swinging for the fences, and it's pretty cool to see.
They've all gotten together and collectively pretended Golden State doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what?
Hopefully we'll get to the finals and get our asses handed to ourselves.
You say, look, the East is up for grabs. Maybe Curry, Durant, Thompson all sprain their ankles right before the finals, and then we can sneak in there.
Maybe Durant will sign with the Knicks prior to the finals.
Yeah.
I think the one trade I didn't bring up is the Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan trade because it happened so early in the season.
Yeah, no, that one's fine. We talked about that one earlier.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we were just trying to cover things there, like just
Yeah,
happened.
that just happened.
Is there anyone else, or is that all the big trades?
Those are all the big trades I think there are. I didn't want to include a bunch of ones for like one guy for 2 second-round picks.
I thought the Mirotic one was big.
What did you
Which
say?
one?
I thought the Mirotic one was big.
I
Where
thought I put that in there. I'm looking at my sheet right now.
Yeah, where did Mirotic? I thought that was a good.
Mirotic
trade.
is now on the Bucks, so they reloaded
Yeah.
too. And
Yeah.
I
I
think
knew
that
the
makes.
Bucks did something big.
I think that's
That was a big 3-team trade. Let me pull that up. I'm sorry. I thought I had it on my sheet.
I think that's a great upgrade on the bench for the Bucks. You're basically getting a starter on your bench, and
Bucks need more shooting. They need more offense. So this is a great trade.
yeah. So,
Mirotic can get hot and really light it up.
yeah, so I think
Yeah.
it made the best team in the East even better. So I definitely like that.
Nikola Mirotic comes from New Orleans to Milwaukee. Milwaukee sends Thon Maker to Detroit and center Jason Smith and 4 future second-round draft picks to New Orleans. Detroit sends Stanley Johnson to New Orleans to complete the 3-team trade.
By the way, Thon Maker requested a trade.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
You're on the
that's
best
fine.
team, arguably the best team in the East, and you need a trade.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm all about team basketball, but I'm not getting mine. So can you guys trade me?
This is also a really good example of why you don't trade your second rounders for no reason.
Yeah.
Milwaukee hoarded them and they turned it into Mirotic. I mean, wouldn't you be head over heels thrilled if the Knicks had 4 second rounders and ended up with Mirotic?
Yeah.
I would, but if that happened, the Knicks would also have Bobby Portis, and they'd have an in-game fight. So, I see. So, who's the best in the East right now? You got Toronto made a huge upgrade with Gasol.
I don't know
I
if it's
think
a
it comes
huge.
down between Milwaukee, Toronto, and Philly.
Yeah, I don't know
And
if
Boston
it's
can never get their act together. I think Boston too.
Boston really is on the outside. After looking last year like the team to take over the East, they look like a clear 4th right now.
I think Toronto's upgrade was a slight upgrade. I don't think it was a huge upgrade.
You don't think so?
No, I think they're better, but not a ton better. I think it's been understated how old Gasol's getting.
Yeah, I mean fair.
I would
At
rank
the
it
same time, you lose Miles and Wright coming off the bench.
exactly. So I would put it Bucks, Philly, let's see, Raptors, Celtics. I think Pacers fall out of the top 4.
Well, obviously the Pacers fall out of the top 4.
I mean, we talked about it before. You talk about the guys who just got bought out. Wesley Matthews. I mean, Oladipo getting hurt really hurts them.
Yeah, I think that
I think
kills them.
I think they do add Wesley Matthews. I think he's a poor man's Oladipo. He's just a little older. He's going to put up points. He's going to do right for you. I think you're going to stay in the playoff hunt. I think you're going to drop down to 5 maybe.
I don't think they go any lower than 5. They
Yeah,
still
I don't
got
think they
enough
go lower than that,
players, but yeah, I think they fall out of the top 4.
Where
Brooklyn gets hot, then
Brooklyn's. I'm sorry. I'll stop praising Brooklyn. So, where are they now? Enes Kanter. Really, where is he now? He got bought up with the Knicks. Why is he not on a playoff team? What's going on?
I hope he's still in the United States.
Oh, obviously.
If everything is true about what's going on with his family, then I hope he's safe somewhere.
Who's going to pick up Kanter? I feel like Kanter will get picked up. I mean, like it seems would be bizarre if he didn't get picked up. Who's picking him up?
The Lakers, they think they're getting AD, and then they end up with Kanter.
I mean, it's not. He wouldn't be he'd be a solid guy to get off the bench. You need some scoring. Why not?
The Warriors.
Of course.
They're tied to Robin Lopez. Would you take Kanter over Lopez?
No. I love Robin Lopez.
Yeah, I was sorry he got traded. So we have to stop signing Robin Lopez or anyone that's not named KD or.
Yeah, but if we kept Robin Lopez, we would have had a solid center for like the last 5 years.
Well,
Yeah.
the plan is to sign a giant free agent every year. We have to clear cap space all the time. If we kept Robin Lopez, we would have traded Ntilikina to get rid of his contract. So just No more multi-year contracts. Just we're done with them, and they're not. If they're not this is the Knicks plan. This is never going to change. So let's just go with their plan and not ever sign anyone to a multi-year deal again.
Great. All right.
I'm okay with signing guys to a multi-year deal. I just don't want to sign guys 30, 31 years old to 5-year deals for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, I was just saying that if they're not named, like if they're not KD or like Kawhi or like one of the top free agents, the Knicks will just have to trade assets to get rid of that player eventually, and they're always going to be hunting for this top free agent. So
yeah.
So just don't sign those guys anymore. Don't sign a Timmy ever again, for many reasons. By the way, you know what I like about Dennis Smith? He was coached by another team, and now the Knicks have him. That's better. We should only have players that are coached by other teams. Okay.
All
question.
Right. We are NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The New York Knicks Podcast.com is our website. You can get Knicks Podcast shirts there. We're also NY Knicks Podcast on Spotify and Patreon. That's another way you could help support the show. And please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. All right. Now that we got all that out of the way.
Dustin, have you ever gone to our page on Pornhub?
I have, actually. It's very nice.
Yeah. It's a good place to go. Go look for some Pornhub, guys.
Frankie writes, Jay, what is this? Who's this guy? What is up with all the positive statements? What do we do as Knicks fans to have to be positive about? I downloaded the latest show to lament and shake my fist at the sky, not set myself up for further heartache and disappointment with all these hopes and dreams. Where is Marc? I demand you bring Marc. I demand you bring Bry. This is not the time to be positive. So
I want to thank that guy for his email. I really do appreciate it.
Dustin was very positive last episode, took me off the ledge, so thank you for that. I think people were very emotional last week and wanted to yell and scream with us. But I think you brought up some good points, and I'm glad we talked that out because really it's not, it might not, I'm not going to say it's not, but it might not be as bad as it seemed originally.
Yes. Next year, when KP is putting up all-star numbers and looking amazing opposite Doncic, then we can cry our asses off.
Yeah.
If he's not. Marc,
you
do not have to do a Dustin apology episode. I promise you that.
Okay.
Angel writes, so now that we have space for 2 max contracts, what do you think about bringing back Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire for another run?
Is he saying that Eddie Kyrie's busy?
Hey, let's get everybody back.
Let's bring the whole team back together. Why not?
Jorge writes, can we trade Marc for Dustin? Dustin won me over when he said, would you trade 2 first picks for KP? I've had Marc on the trading block since he said players want to hit more home runs because of Babe Ruth.
Dustin, I listened to the show. I liked it. You did a good job.
Oh no, thank you. I just kind of figured that's how it would work out. If I had sent it, I try to think that's something you would tell Jay, like to do it, or maybe Jay would say that to you. And I just thought that was a really good question to ask, and I was hoping that would bring a lot of people off, but apparently not. So
I mean, here's a good question for you. The Knicks have lots of cap space. They have a chance to get an all-star who's been injured for the last year and a half. Would you be excited?
No. You talking about Kyrie Irving? No. Especially
I meant the reverse. Just trading. If the Knicks didn't have KP and they were trading for KP, we'd think it's insane. The guy's been injured for the last year and a half, wants max money, is a prima donna. We would think that's insane. So the reverse trade, I don't think we would love.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at what Dallas was doing and how fast they were going off the hook about what a great trade and everybody blowing up at the Knicks immediately when it happened, I was just like, we don't know the whole side of it, and let's just find out what happens. If KP is nothing like he used to be his rookie year, then the Knicks come out looking like a boss in this trade. And if he looks somewhat like he did his rookie year, I'd say it's a fair trade, a fair value trade. And if he comes out looking exactly like he did his rookie year, then yeah, I'll go eat crow and I'll never come back on the podcast.
I mean, it's also like if the Knicks kept KP, the best option for them was him taking his qualifying offer, because you'd probably want to see him for a year before giving him the giant contract.
Yeah. I mean, the way I saw it afterwards, and I think I said this to Jay after we got done recording, and I had a night to sleep on everything that I was thinking of, is the Knicks pretty much saved themselves from what New Orleans is going through with AD. If he came back and he was healthy, he saves himself. You know, the front office saves themselves from trying to have to swallow whatever crappy trade deal they would get next year for KP that New Orleans is going to get for AD.
I kind of feel like then KP saw AD demand a trade and was like, I'm of his level. I should demand a trade too.
I don't think KP was sincere with everybody in New York, especially the way he handled everything. And I mean, I'm not siding with Phil Jackson and the front office from back then, but you skip out on an exit meeting as a rookie. That's not cool. And then, you know, you idolize, arguably, in college and in NBA, one of the better players to play the game in the last 10 years, 15 years, and Carmelo Anthony as a kid, and you don't like the way they treated him. What I guess, rose-colored glasses for most Knicks fans living in New York? Like, I saw this as the writing on the wall that KP was leaving. He was never signing a long-term deal here.
Is it a bad sign when your star player watches the show Entourage and is like, oh, he had his friend be his agent. I'll have my brother.
Yeah.
What other questions we have, Jay?
Jorge writes, hi guys, on the face of it, KP and cap space for Dennis Smith Jr. and a couple of late first rounders does not look great. However, do you think that if we knew that KP was going to take the qualifying offer and rejected subsequent trade offers, then the trade we made is the less bad of the two scenarios? The point that players who take the qualifying offer can veto any trade is really important.
Yeah, so the Knicks couldn't really trade him next year. So if they took the qualifying offer,
I think it's more that they think he's more injured than maybe people are privy to.
I don't know. They said that meeting. So the meeting they said was only 5 minutes long, which is a short meeting. They said it was rescheduled 5 times, and they just got like a really bad feeling from KP.
Yeah, I think the only question they asked him in the meeting was, do you want to be here long term, yes or no? And when he said no, they said, okay, no problem. And I think it's come out in the last week that the Knicks have done their due diligence, checking around the league of what deals they could get for KP if he was available, and that this was the best they could come up with. And again, I preface this by saying, if KP is not as healthy as people want him to be, like New Orleans, like in Dallas, you don't get free agents to come there that are big names that can put together wins and put together big time winning streaks and titles. The Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd, Sean Marion Mavericks, I think was a one-off and kind of got lucky going through. I don't know if you're going to be able to duplicate that and replicate that, because if KP's as hurt as he is, he doesn't come back to form, those draft picks could become lottery picks. So we end up with 2 lottery picks, if not a lottery pick and our own pick for the playoffs. So
what you're saying is KP will play 20 years and be in the Hall of Fame. Should we all go to the induction ceremony together? Do you want to just make a plan together? We all go to the Hall of Fame induction for KP?
Next podcast meetup.
If he goes to the Hall of Fame, right, I will gladly fly from San Diego to horrible Hartford, Connecticut, and Bradley Airport, and I will pick you guys. I will drive from Bradley back into New York to pick you guys up and drive you to Springfield myself.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. It's on record. You guys can record it. We'll play this back in 20 years, and we'll make it happen.
That's we're announcing it. Knicks podcast meetup at the Hall of Fame in 20 years for KP's induction. Jay, you got any more questions? Or are we done?
Jorge writes, Hornacek's daughter or Fizdale's wife? He linked both of their Instagrams. So Abby or Natasha, guys?
As a father to a little girl and a beautiful wife, as a husband to a beautiful wife, I'm staying out of this one.
Okay, so as I guess an asshole, I don't even think all respect to Fizdale, but it's not even a contest.
Yeah, it was a little closer than I thought it would be, but I did my research and I'd say I'd go with Abby Hornacek.
I mean, this is like a signing KD versus a signing Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to my wife, who's probably going to listen to this podcast later on, I love you, giving you a shout out.
Your wife's going to listen?
Yeah, she listened to the last one. As soon as we got done recording, Jay texted me and said
Oh.
it's up and loaded, and she was like, "You need to download it right now. I want to hear you."
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, great,
our
thanks."
significant others want nothing to do with our shows.
Oh, my wife pretends
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. She's
Yeah.
barely she has no interest whatsoever.
We've been doing our comedy show, The Brink of Sanity, for 11 years, and I don't think my girlfriend's listened to one episode.
No, my wife would I could say anything on the show because I know she'll never hear the show.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Jay?
Nasir writes, the Knicks are a travesty this season. What is the outcome that we get a good free agent? Who would want to come here? Also, can we please stop with this development BS? Our young guys look terrible, and I'm tired of hearing that sad excuse for losing.
Yeah, the development thing is not going so well. We're getting KD. I am convinced the Knicks have inside information, and that the Royal Ivy is the assistant coach who's KD's best friend. We have all of KD's best friends hired on staff or playing for us. He's coming here.
I think they have to know something, or this makes no sense.
They have to know something, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way. I mean, they have to know something. Oh God, they have to know something.
All right, that is it for emails.
I have one Facebook question. I didn't post Facebook questions for the show because I thought we'd have a lot to talk about. We'll do it going forward. But one question for the show. This comes from Jonathan. Seeing how Katie hates the media, do you think he can handle our media? New York media is way tougher, so I think that's something that's not in our favor.
I don't think that's a huge issue. I think that's overblown.
It is pretty bad here, the media.
Yeah, but
don't...
he's going to get upset because like the Post made a pun about him.
Didn't he get upset about the media in like OKC? Like the one newspaper they had posted something that was slightly negative.
But who cares? It's not like he's going to leave a city because he doesn't like. So maybe he's cranky during some interviews. I don't care. As long as he's getting finals MVPs, I don't care if he's cranky at Marc Berman or whatever.
Do you think he makes obviously he's obviously one of the best players in the NBA, and I guess do you think in coming to New York it could be more lucrative? He could make more money here. He leaves Golden State. I just don't see where else he goes.
I think the allure of winning a championship, and I think that's what would bring a lot of people here is bringing a championship to the Knicks kind of makes you a god in basketball lore. But I don't know if these guys in today's basketball have the heart and have the stomach to tolerate the crap that's going to come with that.
I was telling,
you know what I mean?
So I was talking about Katie with my son, and he's like, "What happens if we win the title?" I said, "We get a parade." He's like, "What's the parade like?" I was like, "I don't know. None of my teams ever won a title."
I was negative 5 years old when we had a parade.
I have no idea what they're like.
I was fortunate enough that my dad let me cut high school for 3 years straight when the Yankees won a parade. No, I wasn't a Yankees fan. I was the only person at the parade in all Mets gear because my dad's like, if you're going to cut school to go to the parade, you have to wear Mets gear. And I was like, fine, whatever.
That's pretty cool.
And then my senior year, they got beat. It was right after 9/11. They got beat by the Diamondbacks. My dad was like, let's fly to Arizona and wear all Yankees gear. And I was like, no, I have a test tomorrow. Can I go?
That would have been really funny if you did that. Your dad's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, my dad's pretty good. I like him when he does stupid shit.
I think that's all we have for today, right? What did we learn today?
We learned that everyone in the East except the Knicks got better.
Well,
I don't know about everybody in the East, but
did the Knicks get worse? Let's just look at the squad right now. We lost Timmy, who in our power rankings was our best player. We lost Trey Burke. We didn't even mention him. Are the Knicks?
And we lost Cantor.
Thank God.
So
the Knicks worse or better than they were pre-trade?
And you lost Courtney Lee as well.
You lost Courtney Lee as well.
But then you ended up getting Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, you got Dennis Smith, you got DeAndre Jordan.
Mac, I'm going to ask you a question. What is better and what's worse? I mean, if we want them to tank and get the best odds possible for the number one overall draft,
we agree.
They get better at that.
Yeah, no, we agree. We want a bad team. I'm just wondering, just realistically, is the team worse or better, just overall?
I think it's about a wash right now.
Yeah, I don't think they got much worse. I mean,
I think Dallas got better, a lot better.
Dallas got better. But we replaced Timmy's inefficient nights with like Dennis Smith at the very least could like match whatever Timmy was doing.
I think Dennis Smith will probably do better than Timmy.
Yeah, no, I think we were talking before you got on. I think we're both fans of Dennis Smith right now. And we both.
I was a fan of him last year.
No, I am. I've been very impressed with him so far. But yeah, the team, they're at least as good bad as they were before.
Yeah.
All right.
And let me say this too before you guys get a bunch of emails saying this guy's a fucking idiot. He just bashed Dallas's KP trade. No, I'm not saying they got better because of KP. I'm saying because you put Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway Jr. in a situation with Luka Doncic, who can control the court. You basically gave him two shooters that can spot up and shoot whenever they want now, as long as he controls the ball. Now, Tim Hardaway Jr. is one of those guys who's a great Robin, maybe a third guy. He could never be the main guy, and that's why it didn't work out for him here in New York. But Luka now has two guys that can hang out and just shoot threes all day long.
Yeah, no,
and I
that
think
makes
that
sense.
is what makes Dallas more threatening in the West. And so you come across those buzzsaws at the top of the West.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hardaway with a good point guard might be a much, much better player.
Yeah. I think that's all we have today.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us again.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back on.
And plug your website real quick, your podcast real quick.
It's not sports related at all. It's kind of just a dad ranting and just going off tangents. They're about 20 minutes long. It's called the At Home Dad Podcast. I'm a stay-at-home dad. We have a national convention for the National At Home Dads Network going on in September.
Really?
But yeah, we do. It's actually pretty dope. It's going to be in Minneapolis. And if you're a stay-at-home dad or you're a stay-at-home parent, you can check out my podcast, the At Home Dad Podcast, on Buzzsprout. You can check me out on Facebook. Find me on Twitter. Again, all my podcasts tend to be less than 30 minutes. It's just me kind of ranting on my own. I'm going to have a couple other stay-at-home dads plug their podcast on my show, and I'm going to bring them on to talk to them. So it's actually really cool. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just give me a shout and check it out.
Awesome.
Cool. And I started a music review site, so you can check that out at jlovesmusic.wordpress.com or facebook.com/jlovesmusic.
Yeah, you could be the second person to go to the website. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, it's going really well so far. All right, so thanks for listening, everybody, and we will be back next week. Okay.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.